This is Yuji, taking some pasta. I believe that whether or not one builds muscle is not a matter of talent, but rather a matter of habits. I think that correction is more important than talent. Just because someone is very athletic does not necessarily mean they will build muscle. Similarly, being outgoing and boisterous does not guarantee that one will easily gain muscle. There are also people who naturally have a physique that is prone to building muscle, but that alone does not ensure results. I firmly believe that For the past 30 years, I have observed many people. I have taught a lot of individuals over the years. This applies not only to those I have taught, but also to people training at the gym around me, as well as my colleagues and others who train in that environment. After watching people at the gym for 30 years, I have come to believe that muscle development is more about habits than talent. I would like to discuss what kinds of habits make it easier for people to build muscle. First, one key trait is the ability to find 15 minutes. What I mean by this is whether or not one can manage their time effectively. Whether or not you can secure time is important. Well, I think there are various things you want to do and things you have to do, but if you feel you need to do strength training to build muscle, you should prioritize creating some time for yourself. That is indeed necessary. Making a little time or finding small gaps in your schedule is important. In those brief moments, for example, if you do some stretching, your body will become more flexible. In contrast, those who don't do it will have a stiff body. There are certain forms to consider. However, if you can't maintain the correct form, it's difficult to achieve results. So it really depends on whether you can use that time for stretching, or if you think, I only have 15 minutes, so maybe I'll just work on my arms. This also applies to whether people who go to the gym have the mindset to combine gym workouts with home workouts. At the gym, you focus on exercises that can only be done there, like using barbells or handling heavy weights. But if you have a bench or dumbbells at home, you can still make progress. You can do it in that part. So, if it's just for the arms, you can get quite a bit done in 15 minutes. If you take a short break between sets, you can manage to do 2 or 3 sets quickly. To be honest, I can do about 8 to 10 sets myself. Even in 15 minutes, that's enough for a good workout. So finding those 15 minutes is really important. In other words, it means not wasting time. Instead of looking at your smartphone or playing games on it when you actually have those 15 minutes, it's better to focus on doing the arm exercises I just mentioned. If you approach it this way, it becomes easier to accumulate interest. I believe that being able to prioritize is crucial. The next important adjustment is to engage in honest strength training. In other words, it means not doing strength training just for appearances, but rather training to build a visually appealing body. Essentially, when you're training, especially at home, this is something you often encounter at the gym, but it's a bit. If you focus on doing flashy strength training or lifting weights that are too heavy, it only results in visually impressive workouts. It may seem impressive, but pursuing that path means you might look good while training, yet you won't build a visually appealing body. When handling weights that are too heavy, for instance, if you can't perform a full range of motion in bench presses and only do the upper half with dumbbell presses, you won't develop muscle. Instead, it's better to lighten the weights and perform deeper squats or back lifts. In Bulgarian split squats, deeply squatting allows the leg muscles to stretch properly, and since those muscles are engaged in the challenging part, muscle development occurs. However, if one only focuses on the upper half to handle heavier weights, it becomes difficult. This is because the muscles are not being fully engaged to experience the necessary load, which is why muscle growth does not happen. Simply having the intention to build muscle is not enough. For example, one might perform flashy side raises, but those movements allow the load to escape. Therefore, it is important to perform movements carefully to ensure that the load is maintained. The point is to engage in strength training without lying to oneself. The lie refers to deceiving oneself. It's important not to deceive yourself, and you can't just pretend that you're lifting weights effectively. You need to ensure that your muscles are properly contracting and stretching, and that the load is being accurately communicated to your body. This means practicing strength training in a way that avoids self-deception. This aspect is incredibly important. So in training, I hope people will not lie to themselves. And the third point is, we're talking about a skeletal type of person. This is incredibly important. Even if someone has great athletic talent and excels in sports like basketball, baseball, or soccer, if they don't put in consistent effort, they won't build muscle at all. Well, to be completely honest, I have to say that I'm not particularly good at sports. My classmates know this too. I'm not fast. and my friends know I wasn't a starter on the basketball team. Reform isn't really great, and I don't have long limbs, and I was talking about how I originally didn't have good experiences in B-Bai when someone told me, "No, you have the talent to work steadily." Well, calling it talent is a bit much, but I thought, oh, I see. I realized that I am the type of person who can work steadily. It was only when a friend pointed it out that I began to understand it a bit more objectively. However, the big point is whether I can continue doing that. In fact, among my colleagues who are traders, this is very relevant. Sports are really not that significant at all. In terms of personal talent, it's not impressive. However, since it's not too heavy, if you keep at it consistently, you can achieve a toned and fit body that anyone can appreciate. I haven't seen bodybuilders with overly defined muscles, but they have great physiques. They might be around 40 years old and they have really good bodies. There are definitely people like that. The most important aspect of strength training is the ability to keep going consistently, and that's what really matters. More important than any weight or any exercise is this point. Then, the fourth point is not to get caught up in immediate concerns. I know it might sound strange to say this on YouTube, but as I think about the content for my YouTube channel, I consider issues like how to wrap, hunching over, smartphone neck, and having a rounded back that prevents proper movement. Well, when I talk about such content, the view counts don't really go up. To be honest, the playback numbers aren't increasing. The reason for this is that, generally speaking, people tend to focus on immediate concerns, like wanting to lose body fat or get back into shape. However, if they don't properly address and overcome their weaknesses, they won't be able to build muscle effectively. As a result, they won't achieve a fit physique. If you have rounded shoulders and a hunched back, doing exercises like dumbbell presses won't effectively target the pectoral muscles, and shoulder presses will tend to push forward. Even when working on the back, the muscles may not contract properly. It becomes clear that if you can't achieve the necessary contractions, you won't see results. To address this, it's important to strengthen the smaller muscles within, focusing on specific movements and exercises, such as the Superman exercise, even if they seem simple or unremarkable. If the body is not in the correct position, it cannot perform enjoyable movements. Focusing solely on the pectoral muscles, for example, will not yield good results. Therefore, it is important to examine those subtle areas and one's own weaknesses objectively, and to work on correcting them. This process is crucial. I always believe that it is important not to get too caught up in immediate results, and even if the number of views increases, I intend to continue discussing these points, which I have just mentioned. To be honest, anyone can really do it if they want to. It's about making the choice to do it or not. Well, this might also be considered a habit, but taking the option to act is important. Conversely, if someone says they can run 100 meters in 10 or 11 seconds, that's simply impossible for me. No matter what, I can't do it. However, consistently putting in the effort, being honest in my strength training, and not getting caught up in immediate results are all things that come naturally to me. You can change as much as you want. I believe that is possible, so I think I will try to imitate the habits of those who build muscle. From there, I believe many things will gradually change. As I mentioned earlier, I think it would be great if everyone could work steadily as well. Yes, let's do our best moving forward. Please subscribe to the channel, and I'm also on Instagram, so please follow me. This was YUJI, your personal trainer.